Kirby Moynihan.
Deb Belter.
Jared Bogie.
William Cole.
All right, and Pastor Paul?
Good evening. Just wanted to have a prayer about a book of the Bible, Esther. Probably never read it, you never know. But it starts out with a beauty pageant. The most unlikely start to a book of the Bible, I think, ever. And it ends with this beauty queen saving her people that we know as the Jews. And the key verse is that she's encouraged by her uncle to stand up courageously. And he says, who knows but that God didn't put you here for just such a time as this. And we pray that you guys are here for just such a time as this. It's never an easy time, but especially now, we want to keep you in our prayers. Lord, we are grateful for your servants. They come in many shapes and sizes, many different positions in life, and many different communities. But we want to ask for your presence with us tonight as we seek to do your work in this community and to reach out in love to each other. We ask for your blessings tonight in your name. Amen. I've got to run. I've got another Zoom Bible study. So
Thank you, Paul. All right, I stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, is there an approval to the agenda?
Under Public Works, number 10, you had Highway 25 there.
Did you guys get that? No. Under Public Works, item number 10, Highway 25 walking trail. Right?
And then do I...
That's next. Yep. All
Make a
right.
motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Approval for the consent agenda or discussion?
I got a question here. Wake Sun Solar Energy, a bill for $10,177.
That's our solar energy that the city subscribes to. We've been subscribing to it for 3 years or more now.
And we gotta pay that much?
Yeah, because we get credits back on the XL energy bills.
Yeah, and then on the next page, we got them again for another $10,000.
That's because their bill came to me late and was put lost in the mail, so I paid it at the end of 1 month and then I paid it again this month. So it's, in
I
the
thought that
summer,
was supposed to be a money-making deal.
well, we are, because we get the credits back on the XL energy bill. Right now, we have almost a $7,000 credit sitting at the XL for the wastewater treatment plant alone. That we get a check back every year from. This last year, I got a check back from XL for over $16,000.
Okay.
So it's making it less for us. I mean, it's cheaper.
That's all I have.
Any other, okay. Is there an approval then for the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Jared? Did you want to go ahead with your presentation?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wendy's going to pull that up here. There's a PowerPoint. This is the public hearing for the 2021 Downtown Improvement Project. The public hearing is an opportunity for residents to provide input regarding the improvements proposed as part of the project, specifically as it relates to the improvements that are outlined in the presentation tonight. On June 29th, we did have an open house. It was an opportunity for residents in the area to come and view the improvements on a more informal scale. We had maps set up and answered a lot of questions. There were actually probably about 40 plus people that attended, and it was a good opportunity to communicate with the residents and answer their questions specific to their particular property. And certainly if anybody has in-depth or detailed questions this evening following the public hearing, I'd be happy to meet with them as well. So the project area is shown up on the screen there. It includes Casat 60 or Center Street and 2nd Street. That's actually a county state aid highway within the community. Also includes Center Avenue North, Dakota Avenue, Emerson Avenue, 1st and 2nd Streets, 3rd Street, 4th Street. So kind of that core area of town there. So the project considerations, or why the project is being considered, certainly utilities play into that, both the sanitary sewer and water main system. Starting with sanitary, the piping currently in place throughout the project area, through the majority of the project area, is from the late 60s. We also have a section of sanitary sewer located between 2nd and 3rd that runs through the backyard, so that's an opportunity to make improvements to that. The water main, currently same vintage as the sanitary sewer, and it's 6 inches in diameter. Today's standard for water main diameter is 8 inch. That provides better fire flow protection as well as water quality moving throughout the system. There is a service on 3rd Street east of County Road 12 that is 2 inches in diameter, serves multiple properties, and is a very long service. These streets, as most of you are aware, are cracking. There are potholes, and there's also sediment. So they've met their useful life, and with utilities beneath them that have also met their useful life, that's what has initiated the project. So the street improvements essentially consist of what's referred to as a total reconstruction. So all the bituminous, all the gravel beneath it, and the street itself would be removed and replaced. There are 2 different street widths that are being considered as part of the improvements. The first being 38 feet in width, which would be the county road section of 2nd and Center west of County Road 12. It's identified in blue on the map. The 2nd city street section, 32 feet in width, and that's proposed for the remaining streets highlighted in green. Should be noted that 32-foot wide streets are the city's standard streets, so that if a development were to come in, that's the minimum standard that they would be required to construct. Certainly, that's what's proposed right now. As we get through the design, because no design has been completed to date other than reviewing aerial photography and the like, some decisions may need to be made regarding the street widths, but currently they're proposed at 32 feet. Also, one of the amenities or the standards, if you will, included within city streets is curb and gutter. So all those streets highlighted up there are proposed to have curb and gutter on them. And then the sidewalk is identified there up on the map in blue, and essentially, just for everybody's benefit, because it is a little difficult to see, there is some existing sidewalk along 1st and Emerson that is proposed to remain in place. Design details will determine whether or not that can remain without needing to be removed and replaced, but that's the current plan right now. And then the remaining portion of sidewalk that's proposed would be on the south side of 2nd, both sides of Center, the south side of 3rd, and the west side of Emerson. This is basically what we refer to as a street typical section. Really, there's two of them because of the 32-foot width and the 38-foot width. What it consists of is the pavement section, 9 inches of bituminous, over 8 or 9 inches of gravel, and then 12 inches of sand. That's the city's standard street section. You'll notice also that, and I've received some calls and comments from the public at the open house. There are boulevards proposed between the road and the sidewalk so that there will be a snow storage area. A lot of the areas currently, the sidewalk is immediately adjacent to the bituminous surface, but the proposal would be to include a boulevard, which would provide an opportunity for some snow storage in that area. Utility improvements, starting with sanitary sewer. The new sanitary sewer is proposed that it's 8 inches in diameter. There would be new manholes, and then the sewer services would be replaced from the main, which is typically located at the center of the street, out to the property line or the edge of the right-of-way. So that is the proposal as it relates to the sanitary sewer. And I mentioned earlier that there is a section between 2nd and 3rd that has sanitary sewer running in the backyards. Preliminary investigations throughout this planning process have indicated that that sanitary sewer can be removed from the backyards, redirected into the street, which would provide an increased opportunity for ease of access relative to maintenance. So it's a benefit to the overall system there as well. Water main improvements consist of 8-inch diameter piping. As I mentioned earlier, there would be new valves to turn the water main on and off, new hydrants, and then similar to the sanitary sewer, the water services would be replaced from the water main within the street out to the right-of-way, and new curb stops or shut-offs would be installed at the right-of-way. One other item to note as part of the project, there's a water main loop planned on 3rd Street between Emerson Avenue and Dakota. And really what a water main loop does is it improves the water quality by allowing the water to flow multiple directions, and also provides improved fire protection services for the residents in that area. Drainage improvements consisting primarily of storm sewer. The storm sewer material will be reinforced concrete pipe. There'll be new manholes and then catch basins. Those are the inlets that you see in the curb that collect the water from the street and direct it to areas where it outlets. And then the curb and gutter, as I mentioned earlier, is also a stormwater conveyance feature, and that is proposed throughout the project. Preliminary investigations, we've identified some locations for curb or catch basins. We do have some backyard swales. Additional investigation will be necessary to determine if there's easements associated with those or not. But those are the improvements. The backyard drainage swales exist currently. So throughout the design process, if council moves forward with that next step, that will definitely have to be investigated, because we haven't obtained any topography or elevation information out there as this initial planning process. So there is definitely additional research that needs to be done, but that's the storm sewer layout as we've currently identified it. The next slide identifies, as I mentioned, there is a county road within the project area. That slide really speaks to the county cost participation policy. Essentially, they pay for any clearing and grubbing that's needed, excavation, borrow material, class 5 concrete driveways, and the bituminous at 100%, the curb and gutter and storm sewer at 22%, and the rest of the items identified up there are prorated. That is the county's participation policy. The city would need to enter into a cooperative agreement to take advantage of that cost participation, which would be money from the county as part of the project. So that's the breakdown for your reference. Estimated, this slide really shows the estimated cost breakdown associated with the improvements. You'll note that Wright County's portion is identified there, as well as the city's, and then ultimately the total project cost of approximately $6.6 million. The funding sources identified for the improvements, again, the county participation, city capital improvement plan funds, assessments, and then Public Facilities Authority. And what that is it's a funding program that would provide low interest loans for the city, particularly as it relates to the water main system associated with the project. So that's another funding source that is being investigated as part of the improvements. The assessments, and ultimately why we have a public hearing this evening, there's a process associated with assessments. The first one is the one where we're at tonight. That's the improvement hearing, the hearing to discuss the improvements. Should council decide to move forward with plans and specifications and additional design for the improvements, those plans would be completed. The city would obtain prices from a contractor through the bidding process. And once those prices are obtained, then construction would occur. And then the last step in the process is what's referred to as the assessment hearing. That's where each and every individual property owner would get a letter in the mail for their particular property or properties. In the case of multiple property owner, or of multiple properties being owned by one individual, then there is another hearing similar to this, and that's ultimately where assessments are discussed. They'll be based entirely on the bids received from contractors. The estimates you see before you this evening are solely based on unit prices received for similar items of work through 2020 here. So they're the best estimate we have right now of what the assessments might be. I'm confident those numbers will change once we get bid prices and we go through the design. So it's an opportunity to provide an estimate of what those assessments might be, but certainly not the focus of the hearing this evening. So the project schedule, provided everything continues to move forward. This evening, we are at the improvement hearing. There is a resolution in your packets this evening, council, should you elect to move forward with plans and specifications to further refine the design and get more accurate estimates. That is certainly an opportunity this evening. That would provide an opportunity to present the plans and specifications for approval, again, to council in March. Bid opening then would follow in April. Bids would be received. Council would have the option to award a contract in May, and then construction would begin in June. You'll notice that construction is identified as June 2021 to September 2022. It is a relatively large project. What we've found is that the more flexible you can be with the schedule, the better prices the city will receive. Now, this won't be rip the whole project up and leave it open all winter. This project will be phased. That phasing plan is yet to be determined. That will occur during the design. So ultimately what will happen is the contract will have a section of the project that they will start working on. They will need to get to a certain point before they can start on another section. That is to prevent the entire area from being torn up at once. And certainly we discussed previously that there are some city celebrations and things of that nature that need to be considered, as well as access to facilities such as this and the fire hall. So really provide an opportunity to get the best pricing possible. And then as I alluded to earlier, the final assessment hearing would be held then in November of 2022 after the improvements are essentially complete. So with that, Mayor and Council, I know this is a public hearing. I'd certainly be happy to answer any questions that you might have prior to the public submitting theirs.
Any questions from the council? Malik?
Not right now.
Okay. We're good, Jared? I'm going to go ahead and then close the regular council meeting and open up the public hearing. I need a motion. Well, that's my motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so we have the public hearing is now open, and anybody that wants to come up and talk, I do just ask that you come up to the podium, state your name and address. So we'll open it up for anybody. Yep, and each of you, there's a little thing up here, it gets like 3 minutes, because there's quite a few here, so.
Hi, my name is Gerald Hunt, and I'm a new resident here. I just moved in last fall at 140 Center Avenue. And I just heard about this meeting last night from my neighbor. He asked me to come along, and I did a little bit of checking into it today. I'm sure you're familiar with the state statute on this, 12951 statute. It basically says that the property, the amount you assess me has to be, the property basically has to go up a similar amount. You can't charge over that. And so I'm just looking at my property, the way it was developed. I had a appraisal done on it last fall, and I just don't see how that's going to go up another $10,000, or my assessment's going to be somewhere around there. So I guess that's my input here, and I'm not in favor of the work because I watch that street every day. I'm outside a lot, and I see very little traffic through Center Avenue there, and there's very few people walking along there, even before this COVID-19 stuff. And with the COVID-19 stuff, the increase in property valuation is very much a question too. So I guess that's what I'd like to say on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Wilson. I have a house on 355 Emerson Avenue South. And I guess my questions I'm directing to the city engineer. He stated that on 3rd Street South, you're going to move the sidewalk from the north side of 3rd Street. You're going to put it on the south side. That's what you said, it was going to the south side, and it's on the north side now. I was wondering why that was getting switched from one side to the other. And then also you mentioned about looping the water from Dakota to Emerson, which now I mean, some of the old prints used to have a water line drawn in there, but there never actually was a water line ever put in there. You know, there is no water and sewer between those two on 3rd Street. I know some of the old prints show that they got brought in, but it never was there. And one of your engineers was out this summer doing some surveying, walking around surveying. I spent half a day with them, walking around explaining different things to them. And I guess I'd like to be kept abreast of what's going, you know, I'll live there for 45 years, and I kind of know quite a few people around there and know all the problems. So I'd like to, you know, have some input from a citizen's standpoint. You know, if that be possible when as you're drawing this up, even if I have to come up to your office to meet, I would be willing to do that. And,
That's a direction to you. I mean, we're going to absolutely keep the public informed as to what's going on.
right.
So,
You
yeah.
know, but I spent some time with one of your younger engineers, just walked around all the neighborhoods, and I know where all the stuff is and everything is, and explained the drainage problems and different things that's going on. And I was just wondering if we're gonna fix the storm sewer too, because couple of years back, we put a 24 inch in. They done a study, we needed a 48, and we put a 24 in. This is, if that was ever gonna be rectified, or when, as we're doing this project, are we gonna, fix all the stuff right away?
That,
You know, because as of right now, we got there was a 24 in there, and they had another 24. Well, they done a study, and they said we needed a 48.
so what's the plans for that?
Now, when Highway 12 was redone, I went down to every meeting and begged them to put a 48 in. And they said, well, we need a 36 at the top of the hill, but down there we got 4 times the big area drain, true, we only need a 24. It's like, really? After they did the study and everybody got flooded, because my house got flooded, I was 18 inches deep on the second level of my house. So,
Mayor, Council, just a couple things. The sidewalk is proposed on the north side of 3rd Street. That's according to the report, so I'm not sure if I misspoke or what, but at any rate, it's proposed on the north side of the street. Water main is proposed between Emerson and Dakota on 3rd Street. We will, through the design process, we'll take a look at the storm sewer and evaluate all those items. One of my engineers did mention to me that he did have some conversations with residents throughout the project area when he was on site. And as you had alluded to, we will keep the public informed. There is a website that is available for residents to take a look at, and that's where we'll be posting a lot of the information too. So we'll be sure to get that distributed.
is there also a drain tile proposed behind the curb, the hook in storm sewer, or hook in, some pump lines? I know some cities put them in and.
Yeah, that's currently identified as an opportunity in the report. So we'll be looking at that through design and making sure, depending on the storm sewer elevations, that we can accommodate that. So it'll, to be determined is the official answer until the design starts.
Well, thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Terry Murphy, 281 Buffalo Avenue South. I just paid for all new sewer and water in front of my house and I'm hooked up, and now you guys are gonna charge me to run sewer past the other side of my house and water? Really? After you stole 8 feet in my yard to put that stupid sidewalk in? Now you want me to pay to fix the sidewalk that was put in wrong to begin with? I don't understand. So, I want answers.
I'm Lee Bauer-Schmidt. My parents, Joan and Willie Bauer-Schmidt, live at 311 2nd Street South. I've distributed a letter that they've signed. I'm here to just help them out, sort through the assessments, proposed assessments. And if I could just cover some of the highlights of the letter real quick. I want to thank you for the information meeting a couple of weeks ago. They lived and paid taxes in this town for 53 years. They remain active on the fire department as well as the Lions, or the Lions organization. Our paved streets and sewer and water supply have worked well over the time, and they're happy with the property's existing services. While we support keeping our sewer and water services in good working order, we oppose the amount of the assessment benefit value. The cost of the curb and gutter, along with having to be assessed for the water and sewer seem to be contributing to the high cost of the assessment. We have several issues and concerns on how the project assessment is being proposed to discriminate the citizens within the scope of the project versus how the Montrose has handled it in the past. The first item, city engineer, Mr. Bogie, had, our numbers were pretty close there. Looks to assess my parents' property at $25,000. They have a modest $150,000 house. So the benefit to market value doesn't look like it's going to pass the test versus the state statute. Also, by law, you're required by statute to assess 20% of the overall cost. The city looks to be, or proposing to assess 30%. The cost per foot charge provided at the information meeting appears to be recovering more than 30%. We'd like to see a better breakdown of the project costs for the assessments. Yes, the estimated curb and gutter is at about $27. We're looking to charge, based on Mr. Bogey's slides, $15 per foot. Many cities don't assess for existing water main and sewer main replacement. I guess we question why here. They paid 53 years worth of sewer and water charges. There should be something in the bank to cover the maintenance and replacement of that need. For 53 years, the city has also used their westerly property as a stormwater area where it's gone across their property for many years. If the project moves forward, how is this going to be addressed? It needs to be incorporated in your design. Then lastly, they're retiring and they're unlimited. If they finance it over multiple years, it's being charged at 6%. What's your bond? What do you get charged money at? Now lastly, I believe it's your responsibility, they believe it's your responsibility to work with fair treatment of the Minnesota citizens within the scope of this. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for your prompt addressing of the items listed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we try to keep it to the 3 minutes or else we'll be here all night? Thanks.
Hi, my name is Marie Bauman. I'm actually next door neighbors to Willie and Joan Bauerschmidt, and we live at 311 2nd Street South, correctly diagonal here. I'm also CPA, so I love to run numbers. So I'm really glad that Willie's son brought up the amount of the assessments. Our property alone, if we're going off of the original numbers that was given at, would be around $16,000 because we have a 75 by 140 foot lot. And so we're not going to pass the statute test either on our property. You're not on that property, so definitely going to that. I want to talk about the street side. So we're here on 2nd Street. It is basically a dead end. I can tell you, going to 32 feet on our street, which I can tell you maybe 10 cars go down the entire day, and that's with multiple people who live there. There's no outlet, you can't go through that. Well, we did have that guy under police pursuit go through the little path there, but I don't think that's gonna happen again, hopefully not, for the safety of my children. My kids go down that street every day. There are no cars on that street. To widen it to 32 and to take out, you literally would take out 8. What are we at, 28, Greg? Did you say we're at?
It would be a sizable chunk of our yard.
It would take like 4 or 5 feet of our yard, and we don't even have a big yard. And so we vehemently object to the widening of that road. It serves no purpose whatsoever. So, and again, I want to ask, why now? When we're in COVID, people have lost their jobs or have gone to underemployment. The median income of this town, especially this area, we're not talking Forest Creek, we're not talking Pheasant Hills, the median income of this area is not high. And do any of you live in the project area? Are any of you going to be assessed? No. Okay. So maybe it doesn't hit home very much for you guys. And have you ever been assessed? Has anyone been in a street project that's been assessed? No. Okay. So that's good. I want to just get that on record. This median income is not high. You know there's mostly senior citizens, and we love our neighbors. We have the best neighbors around, but they're senior citizens, a single mom, brand new, super young family with 3 kids and another one on the way. We just in good conscience, we appreciate good roads and good sewers and things. but we can't afford it. And I hope you're not gonna try to price out and force good families that do enjoy this town and support this town to have to move. So, those are my thoughts.
Thank you.
I'm Sue Gilland. I live on 330 Center Avenue South, right next to the post office. And most of you know me, and most of you don't, but I come from a 5th generation family to live in Montrose. And where we live, it's 4th generation to live on that land. And I lived in Buffalo for 35 years, but I kept in contact because my parents lived there, my grandparents lived there, we came from a big family. 100 years ago, you couldn't swing a stick without hitting a relative of mine or an in-law. And it means a lot to me that we keep the small town feel. And I did go to the open house and I heard what they said, but my first impression was, like you said, why now? We are senior citizens. My husband's disabled. I retired early so I could take care of him. I love this town. I'm not looking forward to moving anywhere else, but I don't know how we can afford it. I live next to the post office, and I disagree with the other gentleman that says there's hardly any traffic on here. I feel like Gladys from Bewitched, or Abner, there's somebody driving on the wrong side of the street, U-turns, shortcuts. I'm afraid during the construction, where are the people gonna go? There's no handicap parking. And I'd like to be on the record to say that I would like to discuss with the city council to offer my extra part of the driveway as an easement to help with some of this congestion. As every day, somebody's gonna get hurt. The pedestrian crosswalk, nobody uses. I don't want a sidewalk because our yard and our neighbor's yard, they're, since the 68, I was in 6th grade when that happened. That was a big thing. But I can't see putting in gutters, sidewalk, with the drainage that we have flooding right now, and we had flooding in the 70s, and luckily when we built our new house in 73, my father had put an extra tile. Otherwise, we had a rainy summer, and our front yard was flooded. Our basement would have been flooded if it hadn't been for the tile. I'd also like to know more about the sump pump thing, because we don't currently have a sump pump. If the water's all gonna be diverted onto Center Avenue, it's probably gonna end up in our yards. So I appreciate you letting us talk and say, I would like to see this tabled until the craziness that our world is better. Thank you.
Thank you.
So on the other half of 311 Second Street, this will be really quick. I do agree, our street does not need to be really any wider than it is on Second Street there. But the two questions I had was for probably mostly for the city engineer. Our house is pushing 140 years old. It's got a fieldstone foundation. What's that construction going to do to an old house in the foundation like that? And if something happens, who's responsible for any repairs? Secondly, in regards to the sewer grouting, because I think our property is one of them that goes through the backyard. Who pays for that when you're rerouting? If it's who's going to be responsible for that cost of rerouting it? Because I'm guessing it's going to have, you're going to more than likely have to rip up some of our property to do it. So those are just two of the questions that I had. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, as far as the foundational integrity of a rock foundation home, we do run into that from time to time on projects. There are a variety of measures that are put in place. One of them that is most often used is referred to as vibration monitoring. It does a pre-inventory of the structure, monitors it through construction, does a post-inventory. So there are ways to ensure that existing structures, if they are damaged, it's determined whether or not it's a result of construction. As far as the sewer routing is concerned, The details associated with the removal of that piping are to be determined. It may not need to be removed when it's reconstructed out in the street. It potentially could be filled since it won't be in use anymore, but certainly we'll keep the property owners informed as those discussions come up and those analyses are completed.
I'm Doug Gray, 315 McCoy Avenue South, and I have some questions and comments, and I'm not expecting an answer to these, and some of them have sort of been answered already. First is, has the city applied for any state or federal money for the project? Might money be available through grants and/or low-interest loans because water and sewer, sanitary sewer utilities are being updated? Might the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency have monetary support available? My second point is, at a special meeting on July 24, 2017, the City Council adopted a 5-year street reconstruction plan. That plan showed 2 street reconstruction projects, Garfield Avenue South and Montrose Meadows Phase 1, in 2017 at a cost of $500,000, and the original town site of Montrose in 2020 at a cost of $2.1 million. At that meeting, the council approved both street reconstruction projects and authorized the issuance of general obligation street reconstruction bonds for both projects. At that same meeting, the council awarded the bid for the Garfield Avenue South and Montrose Meadows Phase 1 project to Latour Construction for $515,000. The property owners on Garfield Avenue South and in Montrose Meadows development were not assessed for that street reconstruction. But now the property owners in the original town site, according to the project summary, will be assessed $15 per foot for curb and gutter and $68.75 per foot for street reconstruction. And one of those streets, 3rd Avenue South, is a collector street for the Montrose Meadows, where property owners were not assessed for street reconstruction in front of their own homes. There is a lot of traffic on 3rd Avenue South. And third, the city should reconsider, as people have already mentioned, the upgrading of all the streets to the standards of 38 and 32 feet. Dakota Avenue South, I measured it today, is now 24 feet wide. Is another 8 more feet needed to accommodate 5 driveways. That's all there are on that street. And as some others have mentioned, according to the project summary, our assessment could be over $20,000, and I do not think the improvements are going to come close to increasing the value of our house by $20,000. I was not familiar with the law that was mentioned. I personally see the need for upgrading the water and the sanitary sewer utilities. I think the city needs to make sure that those are always operating and not kind of fixing things as they occur. But the city, I think, should give serious attention to how that street reconstruction is designed and how it's going to be financed. The city should also be, in my mind, seeking other sources of funding besides the ones that have been mentioned so far. That's all.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
I'm Cal Ralston, I live in 101 Center Avenue North, Montrose. I have a question for Paul Boudin. Are you still planning a sidewalk alongside of Center Avenue North? And the question is why?
There is a sidewalk proposed on the west side of Center Avenue North, leading up to the ball field area.
There is no traffic there. There's no walking traffic there. Everything is east and west. And if you do that, you might as well buy a lawnmower, because I only have lawn left to mow. There's room on the other side if you want to match up to that sidewalk. But there's no sense of putting the sidewalk in there, and I discussed that with the mayor and with Lloyd Johnson. There's no need for it because there's just nobody walking there. unless I go across the street and see Rob. And all four of us that live on that street are sitting back there wondering the same thing, why? I'm not against the road opening, widening, I'm not against the curb and gutter. That sidewalk it's not even called for, why go through the expense? And even think about the future. Maybe they'll buy the ballpark and take my house too and build a bunch of houses in there, I don't know. And the thing remains, there's no reason for a sidewalk in there at all. And all four of you guys will agree with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jared, what is the reason behind that sidewalk?
The sidewalk's simply a way to convey pedestrians from First to the ball field, so. I mean, certainly it's up to the council to remove it. I mean, the report and the improvements that are presented this evening are essentially a recommendation based on city standards, so council has definitely has the ability to modify anything, street width, sidewalk locations, or anything like that relative to the project, so.
I am Robin Morozic on 130 Center Avenue North, and I oppose all this because it's like the street being widened, there's only 3 driveways on our street. And then as far as the ball field goes, there's a parking lot at the north end of the ball field that nobody uses. They park on the streets, they park on our lawns, and you got people from the condos over there that park in that parking lot overnight, and I thought there was a sign up there that said no overnight parking.
It used to be.
So they need to start towing and ticketing people that are parking in there overnight to keep it open for the ball field so they're not parking on our yards. And the street right now is 29 feet, and that's plenty wide for 3 driveways. And we probably have maybe 5-6 cars a day that go down that road besides us. And as far as the assessment goes, from what we looked at, I'm going to be assessed almost $24,000. And for me, that's a hardship. I can't afford that. And with the whole COVID thing going on, I think you guys need to not do this right now and wait a few years, see how the economy's going to do. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, 53rd Street South. I'm here on behalf of Sid Jantlin, I'm his 16-year girlfriend. When we were at the meeting the last time, and it showed that 153rd Street is going to be widened to 32 feet. Now, there are only 2 houses that are on that road with 0 traffic. 2 houses. So what is the need for 32 feet wide, all the everything, curb and gutter, sidewalks, on a road that goes nowhere for 2 houses. So we were told that it was to help the church out with their parking. I want to tell you something. I'm trying to open a coffee house where the old bed and breakfast used to be. That has a parking lot. You people are refusing me a business permit. I am now licensed by the state of Minnesota. It took 2.5 years because of all the jumping around by everybody on your committee, your consultants that are so highly paid, and they have 0 to do with this city. And they come in, they tell us to do this, jump through this hoop, no, that's wrong, go back, redo it, do it this way, no, don't do it that way. Jumped around, and then the guy just quits, and we're left hanging. Now I finally get licensed by the state of Minnesota, happiest day ever, and you people will not give me a business permit to open up because you say that I have not enough parking. Now there was parking there when the bed and breakfast was there. Sid went and he demolished the house next door, laid down the base to add extra parking, better flow in and out. It has a tarred parking from before when it was already a commercial property. And now you people will not allow me to open my business until that is tarred and paint striped. 12 spaces. Now you tell me how Lino's Mexican can share 6 spaces with 3 businesses, the nail place, whatever one goes in and out there. That is changed hands so many times since I've been in this town for 14 years. Three businesses can allow that, and you will not allow me to have this. I want answers. 'Cause I'm just, this is beyond me. And I think what it is I'm involved with the Champlin. I'm associated with the Champlin, and this city has had a 30-year dispute with the Champlin. I'm calling you out, because that's what it is. It has nothing to do with me, because I don't know any of you. Oh, I know Lloyd, and he's all right with me, but I'm telling you, you don't know what it's like to invest everything, to risk everything on a dream. I have it right there, it's in my hand, and I need a little piece of paper by the city of Montrose that says I have a business permit, and you won't give it to me. So what do you say? But yet you want me, us along 150th Street, you want us to pay to allow parking for the church, extra parking. That was the engineer that I asked that day. He told me that they were widening the street to allow extra parking for the church people. Now how is that, how is that right? I don't get it.
I can't comment on that because I'm not aware of that comment from anybody, but I can comment on the parking lot just to let the city council know. Mr. Chapman was told a long time ago by the city planner that he needs to get that up to date for parking to follow the ordinance, the zoning ordinance, and he has to have 12 parking spots there, and one has to be a handicap spot, and they have to be marked in order for that business to be there.
Okay, so how are you making him do 12 spaces when, like I said, those three businesses have 6 that they share? Are you trying to make an example out of this, or what?
Wendy, can you help me on that?
The only thing I would say is that they were probably grandfathered in because they were there before the ordinance was ever put into place. I don't know when the ordinance was adopted for parking, I don't know when it was updated, but that place has been there for quite some time. It was a t-shirt place or something a long time ago, remember that? And so I think it just was grandfathered in because they were already existing.
Well, the bed and breakfast was there already. They had a tart, and it was okay back then when they tarred for their business. Nothing has changed. Square footage has gone down because half of it is commercial kitchen, the other half is the American Disability bathroom. The other half is for the espresso bar. So you're looking at smaller square feet, and yet you're allowing or making us do 12 spaces. For Pete's sakes, Red's Cafe changed hands. That guy, you don't even have paints on that. You didn't force that upon him. These things aren't transferable. He had to come in for a business permit. No one forced him to put on paintings on his. So what's the deal? Is it because I'm associated with the Champlins?
That has nothing to do with it at all. We're trying to follow the ordinance. We are following the ordinance.
Well, I want answers.
That's the only answer I can give you. To follow the ordinance, you have to have 12, you have to have it paved, you have to have 12 parking spots, and one of them has to be handicapped and marked.
You don't understand, the property itself has a parking lot. It has a parking lot that was there for the last business. It's on a commercial zone. Sid did this to help with the flow of traffic, and still it's not good enough. So how can these other businesses get away without it, and we have to do it before I can start my business?
I understand there was another business there, but you're a new business, and you have to follow the ordinance.
Okay, exactly my point. What about the other businesses? Lino's has been 3 different businesses. They didn't have to do anything with their parking lot.
Can I maybe discuss this with Ms. Wright at another time, because this public hearing is actually for this public hearing is for the downtown improvement project. So,
which this all ties into, because you want 3rd Street to be widened to allow for church parking, but yet you won't let me open my business because of the parking.
We don't know who said that, and they may not even know.
It was right on your little satellite photos, and when I asked the guy, that's what he said.
Which guy?
I don't know, there were 3 of them here, I don't know who it was. I want a fair shake here.
I understand.
Have you risked everything for the dream?
I have, yes.
You have, so you
Yeah, I have.
I mean, help me out here. So no wonder why businesses don't come to town. We try to screw everybody. Now everybody knows.
Isn't the point of the drive to bring more business in?
They don't want new business here.
No, but that's one of the reasons you're saying.
They don't want the town to grow.
We need more business, and you actually won't give us a license.
Good job, Jill, thanks. I'm a champion. You love sticking to the champions, don't you? May I have permission to address the council? You run this Montrose Dog and Pony Show. You've been a disaster.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And you
you
need to
have
be
been a
respectful.
disaster.
I'll let you speak. I don't know.
I'm trying to social distance from Democrats. How many city staff or city employees even live in Montrose? How many city employees pay taxes or assessments? Et cetera in Montrose? How many? You run Montrose. How many city employees live in Montrose?
Okay.
Bob. Please say this. Please make your point. And first of all, people, this is a sale job by Bolton and Mink. We call them Bolton and Milk. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, go to the public hearing.
First of all, this is a feasibility study, right? Feasibility study.
Go ahead, Bob. You have 3 minutes.
You have 2 minutes now, actually.
Bob?
Like Mrs. Charlie Nelson here. Anyway, you say you're going to be governor of Minnesota. What do you have to say?
Well, I'd like to run someday. I don't know if I'll be governor. I mean, you know how it
told
is.
me years ago, you put your finger right in my face.
Well, I don't think I put my finger in your face, but you never asked.
Anyway, I am here.
Can I answer your
I
question?
hear my sons are being assessed around town. What would you say?
What's that? I said, I asked if I could answer your question.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the echo. I thought. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, nobody asked what our opinions were on the assessment stuff. I mean, we talked about it before, and there was a couple of us that are clearly against the assessments.
Well, first of all, you gave them a fit. First of all, Bolton and Mink, you were sent down the road a couple of years ago, and they snuck you back in a very sneaky way. And we got to get new city officials that send you packing again.
Bob, if you have a point, please make it. If you're just going to stand up there with all the vitriol, then I would ask you just to sit down, please.
You're going to create a lot of hardship on people, right? Maybe some people might even lose their homes. And this stupid virus thing, this is not a good thing to do this. You're supposed to look out for the taxpayers of Montrose. As far as I know, there's only one city employee that lives in Montrose. And the sad part is a crude way to put it, that Montrose is an easy lay for what I call consultants. We got to stand up. Nobody's minding the store. Hardly nobody goes to council meetings. We're getting what we deserve. I could be up there for about 3 more hours.
That won't happen.
Anybody else?
Kelly Warner. I live at 130 Buffalo Avenue South, which is adjacent to 2nd Street. And I oppose the 32-foot road increase. For one thing, I was told by Bolton Mink when I went to the last meeting that it was for parking, side street parking. Well, that road that I live on is the bus road, so there will never be side street parking allowed on that road. And I feel like if we widen it and give people a chance to go by the buses, they will, creating even more conflict for the kids. People have a hard time stopping for the crosswalk as it is that's adjacent to it. My other concern is the power lines. So the roads get widened, the power lines get moved. They get moved into the tree lines, mature trees that are in this part of town. And now we're back to being a field.
Thank you.
Jared, I just have a quick question. From the people that have been coming up, it sounds like, we're widening all of these streets. Can you explain why we're doing that? I mean, I'm just gonna take Emerson over by Carter Field. Half of these streets here, as they said, have zero to no traffic. So what is the purpose of widening all of these at all of this expense?
Yeah, so the basis of the street width is identified in the city's development standards, which identifies a minimum street width of 32 feet. Certainly those streets can be looked at during the design process and reduced in width. 32 feet allows for parking on one side of the street. Any width smaller than that does not permit on-the-street parking. So it's a city standard, and that's what the report was based on. So certainly, any of the street widths identified, I'd say probably with the exception of the county road, could be looked at being modified.
I got a question. On the street widths, is that the new part of town, or is that the old part of town, the 32 feet?
Mayor Council is throughout town.
They should have abided by what the old part of town was. We're 29 feet in most of the streets. I don't think we need this.
Andrew Zeisel, 320 Center Avenue South. So I do question having a boulevard on that street with sidewalks. It would knock down at least two of the beautiful majestic trees, one on our property and one on our neighbor's property. And I don't think, and you have a heavy snowstorm like we did a few years ago, that extra space for snow is going to do squat diddly. I do question adding a sidewalk on that side of the road anyways with the number of people that are walking. And I understand that the post office is on our side of the road. And perhaps some injuries can be prevented if people are walking on that side of the road. But Pastor James, we all seem safe when we're walking to the post office. My little guy, Benedict, as well. I do also question the timing of the project with the coronavirus, as other people have mentioned. I would also like to see if any research has been done to compare our current underground water system to see, how long have other cities' systems lasted, and is this actually the so-called lifespan of the system? How filled is it with sediment? How bad is it? I don't know quite a lot about the water treatment system in town, but so I do question the timing and whether or not any of the work is really necessary at this point in time. The road seems functional, sure it's not perfect, but all roads get bad eventually, and this road seems to have held up quite well with how it's been. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I think. Go ahead.
Jared, you want to mention to him why we decided 2021, and it's because of the county.
Yeah, so as I mentioned in the presentation this evening, there's a county cost participation associated with the improvements. It's currently budgeted for 2021, and similar to, and I forget the name of the individual that mentioned funding options for the project, but that is certainly a large component of the funding associated with the improvements when you look at the overall project cost. So it's included in the CIP. The county is willing to participate according to their policy, and that's why we're where we're at this evening.
I'm going to use up my 3 minutes before. I want to take up something that you said, Kirby. What are your thoughts, the council member's thoughts on the assessments? What is your thought on the assessment?
I don't want to assess properties. I don't want to write a blank check for a property owner.
Thank you. You, Lloyd.
I felt the same right from the start. Some of these people are changing their minds.
Felt the same way as Kirby?
I won't say.
Okay, so Lloyd won't say. Michelle, what are your initial thoughts assessing.
I don't agree with it. I was part of the council of 2017 on the Garfield Avenue, where we did not assess.
Okay,
And I feel the same, right?
okay. Nicole, you don't agree with assessing with this project? And Tom?
I just like to see things fair. I mean, it appears that in the past, you know, I've been here 2
Yeah.
years, and in the past, some people have been assessed for things and some people haven't. It's like we need to come up with a plan that's applicable to everybody.
So whose idea was it to assess us and not the Garfield project? Who changed?
Well, it's just
not a decision yet.
Their decision hasn't been made.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that decision wouldn't be made until 2022, when the project is complete.
Okay,
Correct? That is what was discussed at I know.
so you clearly could hold us hostage and say, we're doing this project. I mean, I don't want to use the word hostage, but you can clearly say, we're gonna do this huge thing. At what point? I mean, how would you not assess it?
Well, that was my question at the open house. When I was at the open house, I talked to the engineers and because the assessment was not supposed to be a part of this conversation today, but we knew it was going to be. So at that time, I was told that we typically decide to assess after the project is complete. And that just doesn't, I'll be honest, it doesn't make sense to me to decide to do that. So, I mean, so basically, that's saying that we have to put you guys in limbo for the next year and a half.
Yay.
And I'm not willing to do that. I'm not, we need to decide now what we're gonna do. And so,
And just to be clear, the city engineer, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. but-
Jared.
Jared.
Yep.
When you say that it's in the county's budget for that cost participation, it's in their 2021 budget, it's not in Montrose city budget. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that they have funds allocated in 2021, the county does.
Yes, but they can move those funds, potentially move those funds to a different budget year if they're not being used in 2021.
That's a conversation.
It
we'd
would
have to
count,
have.
but it's not use it, or typically with budgets, you go, like I said, I'm inactive in CPA, but if you don't use it 1 year, you potentially can move it to next year. It's not like if we don't use it, they're gonna give it to Waverly, or they're gonna give it to, Cocato, or whoever's the right one.
Can I say something, Michelle?
yes.
We were told, so originally the county wanted to do this project in 2020, and we pushed them out till 2021. Pretty much what we were told is that what they want to do is they want to just repave the road and tell the city to take it over. But if they break any of the water and sewer lines under it, I don't know what's going to happen, because if they start pounding on the road, the old water and sewer lines could break, we don't know. But that's why there's county participation, because 2nd Street and Center Avenue are county roads.
Yeah.
So we pushed them out 1 year already. I don't know if they'll agree to go any
But you're
further.
impacting a whole lot of other households that have nothing to do with this council,
But if we're gonna do one, I mean, the thought was back in 2017, 16, when we did the capital improvement plan, I think it was. That's when we started planning to do all of downtown because of the age of the water and sewer.
And I understand that, I'm just saying, there's a lot after this small portion, relative to the total cost of the project, the small portion that you're getting to the county, you're impacting a lot of other people's lives that have nothing to do, that are not on the county road. So I'm just saying, something to take into advantage, and I also think highly unfair that we found out that Garfield didn't get assessed at all, and that now we want to do this. I'm almost wondering, I'm hoping, is the Montrose City getting, would they get kickbacks? And I'm not, is there, are you collecting the interest? So, just something, thank you.
I gave you the letter and a petition from my neighborhood. I live at 361 2nd Street South, Bunny Brink is my name. My husband owns property just up the block. If this goes through, we're gonna owe $52,000 and my house is paid for. I'm on Social Security, my neighbors are on Social Security, and I wanna know how the hell you can put me in debt again at this point in my life when I thought I was comfortable and just happy hunky-dory. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm David Sarwell from 402nd Street South. I'm David Sarwell from 402nd Street South. Is anyone in favor of this project? Is there one person in this room that wants to do this? I haven't heard a single person who wants to be up there. My road's a dead end. Bonnie, if you look at the lines, her property was halfway to the road already. I mean, you can rectify for that. So, and then if you redo this, is the water gonna all go to Wynant, or you're all gonna go to Center Street? I think we should get everyone on par and agree with something before we make a decision to pull the trigger.
Thank you.
I was up before, I'll just real quick, just to let everybody know that the state statute's 421-059, cost of improvement of any part thereof may be assessed upon property benefited by the assessment based upon the benefits received. Determining the amount of special assessment, the assessment amount charged to the county cannot exceed the amount of the property benefits from the improvement as measured by an increase in the market value of the land to the improvement. The assessment must be uniformly applied to the same class of property. So you can't assess me more than my property value goes up for the assessment.
Jeff Wheeler, 155 3rd Street South. Probably nothing new to add, just echo what I've heard. I mean, I'm on the dead end of 3rd Street over there by the playground. There's 2 of us on that road. I think it's 24 feet right now, and if there's traffic, it's because somebody's lost. So, and as far as the church, I guess I didn't hear anything about church parking, but there's no church parking issue ever. So, so the road width would be one issue. I mean, if we go from 24 to 32, that pushes it back out. From what I understand, there is not a sidewalk planned down there, and that's fine because there's no need for one. Curb and gutter, yeah, I get it, it dresses it up, but I mean, if there's a statute about the increased property value, I mean, what's proposed there on my property is about $25,000. I mean, that's over 10% of the value of my house. So there's no way that curb and gutter in a nice tar road increases property value at all, in my opinion. So, and as far as the financing it on our taxes at what, 6%? You know, that's, money's cheap, so 6% I think would be outrageous for what you'd have to pay. You can get a home loan for 3%. So those are just nothing new, but reiterate some of the things that have already been said. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our taxes went up for the school tax too.
Hi, my name is Taylor Larson. I live at 365 Emerson Avenue South, and I'm kind of concerned about putting curb and gutter on these streets, and it's supposed to fix some of the drainage issues. But I'm not convinced that that's going to fix the drainage issue at our house. When it rains, I call it lakefront property in our corner. Our ditch is currently like 2 feet lower than the road. So I kind of want to know how curb and gutter is going to fix all of the other drainage issues, and I'm hoping that they're actually going to fix the ditch and put a culvert that runs to the actual drainage system, because what we have right now is not sufficient. It has been an issue for a while, and curb and gutter isn't going to fix that part of the issue, in my opinion. So I'd like to see something that will fix that. And talking at the open house, it wasn't really that an answer of exactly what will fix that type of thing, and I'd like to see that more before we just do things. I'd like to make sure that it's studied and figured out. And then when it comes to the assessment, a lot of you have been able to figure out your assessment. We haven't been able to. They couldn't tell us exactly how we were going to be assessed on one side of our property, because we have an L-shaped lot that touches 2 streets. So they said 100% on the first side and 50% on the other side on the corner lots. Our lot is not a corner lot, it's an L-shaped street. So they said, we're not really sure how we're gonna do that one yet, or I can't remember. So wouldn't it have been nice that maybe you could have sent out an invoice to everybody, since you're planning on charging and assessing us, to tell us how much our assessment would be? Seeing as I think there's not that many people in this part of town, and you're kind of planning a project that would suit the houses on the northern side of the tracks and go with their values, but the houses on this side of the track are not valued at that. And honestly, from an appraisal standpoint, curb and gutter in a street are not gonna impact the value of a house. That's not what an appraiser looks at. So if you're looking at increasing our market value, I don't think it's gonna. Our streets right now are the equivalent of those from an appraisal standpoint. So if you can convince me otherwise, that'd be great. So I don't think it's fair that it's all being assessed to that extent.
Well, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes.
So the assessment's just, it's in the proposal. From the beginning, we had asked Jared about it, of saying, do we have to assess the properties? And he said, no, this is how we bring our proposals. They say that we can assess the properties, this is what it would look like, this is how much it would cost. Nothing's set in stone, there's no, we're not writing a check for your property, what you have to pay, it's just, this is one of the possibilities for funding the improvements. That's it.
But does it not sound like a strong possibility since you put costs on a flyer and sent them out at a meeting? That pretty much seems like that's what you're looking at.
Well, we have to do that so that everybody has their say. So everybody knows who lives there, so they can come, they can voice their opinion. We have to let everybody know.
Okay, so there is a possibility that no assessment will happen with this project?
Yeah.
But we won't know until 2022 after the project's done.
Usually that's the case.
Okay.
What I would like to see done is we decide before the project.
Yeah.
Instead of giving you guys a shot after. I say we should decide before the.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is the majority of you either don't want an assessment or think we should know what it is ahead of time. So will there be another meeting that'll discuss that before 2022 then? That we can all come back to and see your opinions?
Yes, there will be plenty of more public hearings.
Okay, and will we all get letters in the mail telling us when those public hearings are again?
Anybody who's in the project area gets a letter.
Okay, and then as for the things that went out at the open house that had the price per foot of the curb and all that, have you considered mailing that out to the homeowners? Because certain people that work certain shifts or for whatever reason can't come, wouldn't even know what they're being assessed. Or is that publicly available on your website somewhere? Is there somewhere you can access that other than walking into the meeting that night?
That should all be on our website.
It's all on our website.
Okay. Okay. Because I've seen a lot of the maps about what's being done, but I haven't seen, posted on Facebook through the city website, but I haven't seen the costs actually posted anywhere. And I think that would be important to inform everybody, other than attending a meeting to figure it out.
Thanks.
My name is Owen Veronica, I live at 111 Center Avenue South here. And another factor I haven't heard talked about is a number of houses are rented here. And these people, of course, are temporary in some instances and so on and so forth. If you hit these landlords with big assessments such as you're talking about, what does that do to the rent? It will raise the rent. He'll have to, whoever he is, the landlord will have to raise that rent. How long do you think those tenants are going to stay when that rent goes up to adjust the amount of assessment you plan on putting in? That's what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Is this meeting strictly just for this project downtown?
This portion of the meeting, yes.
When will you have a chance to see something different? When's the next meeting with us?
There's open forum is right after this. Anybody else? Okay, we'll take a motion then to close the public hearing and to reopen the council meeting.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We're back into.
I second that.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have the motion.
Tom did.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're back into regular council meeting. Do we have any discussion from the council?
Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you. Jared, I do have a couple comments, and that is just to, I think we really do need to reassess this project. I understand that we are part of the county that needs to, move ahead with it, but, and the water and sewer as well needs to be looked at, but, with listening to everybody and hearing everything, and a majority of the council is not on board with assessing, so I think we somehow need to relook at this project. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of these streets, I know that we're within city guidelines, but widening the streets on
The dead end
Second
roads.
Avenue, right, over by the horseshoe area here, and then over by the church, it doesn't make sense. Adding a sidewalk over to Carver Field, it just seems like there's a lot of added expenses that aren't needed. So, in my opinion, I just think we need to totally take a look at this again and figure out what we need to do. Council opinion?
Yeah, I'll agree with that too.
So do we want to table this then, and have,
You want to table it all together, or do you want him to relook at the widths of the roads and possibly just doing the county road through here instead of the entire project?
just looking at the county roads, I mean, we know that needs to be done, and we know that the funding needs to come from the county, and they're really, like Wendy said, we already put that project off a year. So, do we really need to move forward with the whole downtown project, is what we need to figure out.
Yeah, I think we just need to table the resolution.
Right.
Just make a motion to just do the county part.
It's up to you guys, if that's a motion you want to make.
Because on that county part, there's no assessments there, that's paid
Right.
by the county, right?
Yeah, we don't know what the impact on the foundations and all the water and sewer are gonna be. That's the only danger with that piece.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if we did the whole project, there shouldn't be any assessments to the residents. I mean, the city should have known that this was gonna happen a long time ago. We should have been saving in the fund.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Lloyd, is if we look at just the county, replacing the roads for the county piece of it, we don't know what the impact on the water and sewer are gonna be. That's the danger there. It might wind up costing us
Either
more.
way, if we have to fix the water and sewer line, we don't need to charge the residents.
Yeah, Tom's not arguing
No,
the
I'm not.
assessment factor,
No, I'm
he's just,
not.
what he's saying is that he doesn't want to completely throw out the whole project because we need to look at water and sewer for the other areas because it's older.
Well, we can do the whole project and don't assess it. The city should pay for it.
Well,
We got millions of dollars in the ground for developers that never developed.
the taxpayers will pay for it one way or the
$1
other.
million foolishly, we probably would have enough money, we wouldn't have to worry about assessing people.
Yeah, the taxpayers will wind up paying for it one way or the other.
Well,
You know, it's just like the county, with the buildings they're building down there, if they would have made a decision years ago, those buildings would have cost them about $22 million, but instead it cost them $55 million for the one building. So, the danger is that if we kick the can down the road on some of this stuff, that it's gonna wind up costing more money, whether the decision is made to assess or not.
And I'm
We're gonna wind up
just arguing about the assessment. part.
Well, we're gonna wind up bonding for that, and people are gonna pay for it anyways.
That's what most cities do.
I mean, you're right, people are gonna end up paying for it, but it's not these 50 people.
It's gonna be-
I don't know how you got the impression I'm arguing about assessments.
Oh, no,
I understand where everybody's coming from here.
Right.
Like I said, I looked in the past, and sometimes the city assessed people, sometimes they didn't. There seemed to be no rhyme or reason why that was done. What I'm saying is, a decision needs to be made, and we need to stick to it, right? I don't know why some people were assessed and others weren't. Why, you guys have been around here for a long time, could you fill me in on that?
And I
We've
do,
never
and
assessed anybody.
You never, you
And I-
haven't.
Now, the last project we did was Garfield Avenue, and we voted to not assess.
What about Buffalo Avenue?
I was-
yeah, that was assessed, and later on, I heard that it shouldn't have been. And I would like to
My
refund those.
point exactly.
Yeah, I would like to refund those people.
Absolutely, thank you.
Sure, I'll take it.
So I mean, I do think that we have to take a look at the whole project. We know that the county portion of it needs to be taken care of because we can't put the county off any longer since they're willing to, you know, give us some funding for it. But Jared, we need to look at it and then, you know, decide the assessment portion of it. From what we're hearing, a majority of us are not okay with those assessing the homeowners. So we just need to take a look at the whole project.
So what's the timeline? What's the next step after this? Where do we go from tonight?
That goes to our engineer.
So Mayor Council, the next step in the process would be to develop the design details that a lot of people are requesting. Certainly as part of the design, things like sidewalk locations, street widths can be analyzed. There has been no topography obtained. I've heard multiple drainage concerns here this evening. That information would be able to answer those questions intelligently so that more information can be provided. And I don't remember who said it exactly, but the whole process and the whole point of the public hearing was so that in the event the city council chose to assess the project, that opportunity was there. So there's no harm done in holding the public hearing if you don't assess, but you could not have if you didn't. I also believe it was beneficial to obtain input from the public. The street width question certainly can be addressed during the design portion of the project. And at that point, street widths are reduced, project costs are reduced, assessment potential numbers change. Certainly those would be updated as part of the design process. The assessment timeline that I know that's been brought up, not until November of 2022, the city council would have the opportunity, once bids are received, which I believe on the schedule is identified in May of 2021, have the opportunity to look at those bids, see what the impact on assessments would be, because ultimately at that point you know, generally speaking, unless something comes up during construction that's unforeseen. So the timing associated with the assessment could be in November when the project is done and you have your final costs, or it could be in May when you have the actual bid prices from the contractor. So the short answer to the next step for the project, if council's still interested in pursuing it and making some modifications to it as presented, then it would be to move forward with plans and specs. If you're not interested with proceeding with the project, then there would be no action taken this evening.
So what you're saying is they would have to adopt the resolution to move forward to prepare plans and specs?
If they wanted the project to proceed.
Not necessarily.
With amendment changes. Right.
You can propose a different resolution. You can relook at the project,
Right.
the scope of the project.
I believe that is the plan of re-looking at the project and doing that.
That's what I heard from council this evening.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Is there a motion then?
What are we officially motioning to then? What's the exact wordage here?
That would be adopting the resolution to move forward, but make amendments to the project, looking at the streets, the widening of the streets, the sidewalks, curb and gutter.
Would you be looking at which actual streets to be included in it, in the project itself?
Yes.
Because originally you said, now I've heard everywhere from don't do it all, to just do county, so.
We want to go ahead and look at the whole project.
Okay.
The whole, I mean, we know that we have to do the county portion of the project, but we need to look at the whole project and see if we can make amendments to widening of the streets, the changing of the sidewalks, the dead end streets and stuff.
Yeah, I hear that, but I'm just saying, is there a possibility of you actually excluding whole streets from that?
That would be a discussion too that we would have to have with our engineer.
Yeah, everything's on the table.
Everything is opened
That's what I
up,
just want to
yeah.
make sure we were clear.
This is just he's gonna take the next step in the process, and then we'll look at it again once we get those.
Correct.
Well, I would make a motion to go ahead and approve resolution 2020-18 with the discussed amendments that we talked about, reevaluating the entire project.
Second.
All right, Tom.
Aye.
Nicole. Aye. Lloyd.
Aye.
I'll vote aye. And Kirby.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 to continue to reassess and look at the project, different streets, and getting feedback from Jared, our engineer. Deb, are we still good on the tape?
Yeah, I switched it, and this a little bit will be a recording.
Okay. All right. Well, I do thank you all for coming. Your input is greatly appreciated, and it gave us a lot of input to look into, so. Open forum. You should be.
Yeah, she left.
Okay. Wright County Sheriff.
Yes, that would be me. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Simon Willard. I'm new on third shift. So this is my second week in the Montrose Beverly area. For the sheriff's report, one thing that I would like to bring up is throughout the county, throughout the area surrounding, including other counties, a big issue right now is there's a gang out of the cities that is committing burglaries. And their biggest MO, if we'll call it, is that they will break into cars that are unlocked, not even break into those open, unlocked cars, take the garage door opener, and open your garage and walk into your house while you're sleeping. So if there's one thing I could recommend, is double check your car doors, lock them. If you're nervous about that, take your garage doors inside at night, lock your garage door to get inside your house, that door, and take precautions with possibly motion lights, other lights, keeping the lights on at night, and other steps that include cameras, stuff like that. So I guess if you have any questions for me?
Is that throughout Montrose that's
This,
happening?
I haven't heard any specific cases in Montrose, just I know that that is an ongoing issue out of St. Michael, Rockford, and it's just to prepare you all to be on the alert.
They have not hit Montrose at this point, however, they stay very close to major roadways, so they have an easy exit. So Highway 12 is one of those. In past years, we have had issues along the Highway 12 corridor, so we're trying to stay up in front of this in our community before it becomes a problem. To echo on what Deputy Willard had said, if you see something suspicious, please, please, please call the sheriff's office. Otherwise, we don't know where we need to be sometimes. For us to catch somebody in a large tank that says sheriff, police, whatever on it, it's very, very difficult. However, if we know that we're having problem areas, we can get other resources in to try and mediate those issues. But if we don't know where those problems are happening, then we're basically chasing our tail. We don't know what's going on in the community. So the best thing that we can get as deputies is to get the community involvement and to get us calls to get us where things are weird. If everybody has a sixth sense, if something is getting your neck hairs to stand up, give us a call. That's the biggest thing I can recommend.
So which gang is it?
There's about 7 in operation right now.
Oh, here.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell which ones are out here exactly.
Which gangs are you guys referring to in the cities?
I couldn't even name them off the top of my head.
I couldn't off the top of my head either. And I only know of two or three or a very few amounts that I don't know are even confirmed, but are the same MO, as in they just open the door to your car, walk in as they're sleeping. And that's the one that's been around. And I don't know that any have been confirmed, but just putting it out there, hey, lock your car doors, please.
And it seems like if we cut the tail off of one, the other one takes its place with more vengeance almost. So it's hard to get out in front of these guys. And we've been having this problem year in and year out, actually ever since I started as a deputy in 2007. So it's nothing new. They've just gotten a little bit more brazen. It used to be they would just go into cars and grab some change and then beat out. Well, now they're starting to take it to the next levels. So they're getting those garage door openers and sometimes getting access into houses and garages and things like that, and that's what scares us.
So do you know, are they hitting more at night or during the day, or is there any type of MO that way?
Even while they're sleeping. Yeah. Like people that I've been on.
99% of them is at night. So I'm a night supervisor for the sheriff's office, and 99% of them we're dealing with at night.
It's a home invasion, your home? Yeah, they walk in as they're sleeping. Lock your doors. And I'm not trying to scare you. Like I said, there's been a very finite amount. None, I think, been confirmed because their MO is to stay close to highway and dip as soon as they catch them and run away. So we're just trying to prepare you to take steps from even local burglars.
You're not gonna let any of them burn the precinct, are you? It's hard to imagine, isn't it?
If that becomes a threat, will you come up there with me one night and stand guard? I would appreciate it.
I mean, that's just unbelievable. Liberal Democrats.
Officer Willard, yes, we will.
Are you taking off right away, or can I talk to you afterwards too? Okay, perfect, thanks.
Can I, Deputy, do you have a card that I can get from you? Yes. Too, please, thank you.
And welcome to the Montrose Waverly area.
All right, council.
I got something to say to all of you. Please stop the 4th of July fireworks in Montrose. I will put that in the wall right now. I'm not want no more fireworks go off on the 4th of July.
Can
You got a question for that, Michelle Otto?
I do.
Go ahead.
How are we going to prevent that?
I want it to go up every other night. I want that stop. Want them to step out the door and come back and back me up. And that's what I'm gonna say.
Do you know where they're getting shot off from?
I don't know. I walked on the sidewalk on Friday night by the fire station, and someone walked in.
I know that's a big thing too, is when people call them in, they go, well, they're over there somewhere, and then by the time the sheriff gets there, they stop doing it. So then they're like, well.
Oh, my thing. Do you want me to put a deputy way in my driveway? Stack the vehicle in my driveway. When the call go off, they go get them.
Kevin will do that.
Just saying.
mean,
We'll talk later, Steve.
no, that'd be a better idea, that
We can't dedicate cars, and I'm guessing that the taxpayers wouldn't want, their tax dollars dedicated to sitting on a possible firework that happened. Well, some fireworks are legal, a lot of them are legal, and, we're very responsive when we get noise complaints and firework calls, but unless we get those calls, we don't know what's going on.
Okay, if, down the White House, they are dangerous.
They can be dangerous, yep.
That, what, I got something else to say. What were you going to do when the motorcycle go by the house without no helmet on?
It's a person, that's a personal.
It's not illegal to wear, not wear a helmet.
That's a personal choice.
Yeah, Steve, we're gonna need to move along. here.
Yeah, we can talk to you after the meeting, Steve.
Okay, I just asked about that. You go, that one got over
There you go.
behind.
Last month I had the city council meeting, the fire department and the EDA.
Okay, like,
Workshops, council meetings, and, open house. on the project.
Oh, did I miss a workshop?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was a workshop.
I did city council meetings, park and rec, well, the open house, conference calls.
City council and EDA.
All right, Kevin.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Included in your packet is the June 2020 activity report. Next item is resignation of one of our firefighters, Jake Moen, effective June 30th of 2020. He served with us for 1 year, 7 months, and 9 days. So when he got on, we took on a total of 5 guys. We are now down to 2, which after 5 years, if we keep 1, that's a good thing. So we're on track as of right now. So it's not surprising. It happens quite often that we lose people. He's relocating due to a job.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Jake Mullen from the fire department.
I'll second that.
All right, I'll vote aye. Nicole? Aye. Lloyd?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Kirby?
Aye.
How many are currently on the fire department right now?
19.
Not enough, so you can join.
So next item kind of segues with Wayne Down Public Works as well. Looking for authorization to conduct a controlled burn at the compost site in cooperation with Public Works Department to eliminate the brush pile. I would need your authorization.
So moved.
Just to get rid of it this time, not to eliminate it.
Oh, we're gonna eliminate it.
Can we watch?
Me and Public Works will work on that, so. But I would like your authorization.
Make a motion to approve the controlled burn of the compost site. At the compost site.
All right, Kirby?
Yes.
Tom?
Aye.
Nicole? Aye. I'll vote aye. And Lloyd? Motion passes 5-0.
And the last item is we are hiring firefighters. If you or anybody is interested in joining the fire department, applications are available at City Hall or by contacting me through email, phone, or Facebook. So please spread the word. We're looking for people who are willing to.
Too bad we didn't have you up earlier when there was more people here.
I know, I should petition my number 4 on that. So yes, please spread the word. I don't want to say we're in desperate need. If we have 30 people, it's still the 12 people who always show up. However, I have 3 to 4 people, some who may leave sooner than others, unfortunately, and there may be times where I may be driving a truck by myself during the daytime.
Oh, no.
I don't plan on working nights for the rest of the day. So we need people, we need dedicated people who can work with us. So.
What's the restrictions? 10 minutes?
10-minute response time to the station right now, so that's something that we may need to look into with council in the future as well as some other options out there, so. We can get that.
10 minutes via The speed limit, or? 10
minutes
of triplet
Following
drive.
all traffic laws. Measured 3 times.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin's your emergency management.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
I put this on the agenda, and Kevin and I have talked about this, and the reason why we're asking about this is because city staff has gotten some phone calls on it. First of all, people are not real keen on peddlers and solicitors showing up at their door anyway. We do license them, and they do have to carry something from the city showing that they're licensed. But now people are concerned with the COVID-19 thing. And so I did have our administrative assistant check on some cities, and some cities are not issuing their peddlers and solicitors permits. But in order to, you need to discuss that, and if you're something that you would like to see happen, then I need a motion. Just postponing it, and then a certain amount of time that we want to do that. I would say, Kevin, what would you say, December 31st of this year, probably?
I would say put a moratorium on it through the rest of this year. That would be my recommendation if you want to proceed with that. If you want to continue with it, I would strongly encourage you to have an amendment or something, or some kind of resolution in place that says that they have to provide you a business plan that's showing that they're taking proper precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. It's the world we live in, sorry, I'm just a messenger unfortunately, but that would be my thought. So the decision, we're leaving up to you guys, which direction we go, whether to allow it or not allow it, and then to reevaluate probably at the end of the year. Normally, it's just during the spring, summer months that it happens, so we have plenty of time to reevaluate.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to just issue a temporary prohibition on permits for peddlers and solicitors through and including this year, end of the year.
A second?
I was gonna let you do it this time.
No, go ahead.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
I have a question. And so if they do that, and people then can they call Wright County Sheriff's Office and say, hey, there's somebody going around town and they didn't show us their permit? Because we have a lot of people that don't even stop and get a permit, they just go out there.
So the sheriff's office gets many calls throughout the day of people soliciting without a permit, or they wouldn't show me the permit, and then we'll try to go and catch up to them. A lot of times we can't.
Right.
But, yeah.
Usually if they don't want to show you the permit, that means they don't have one.
More than likely, yeah. So, yeah, you can call the sheriff's office to report it, and they'll try to get a deputy. Again, that's not even an emergent type situation, but as one frees up, they'll definitely go out and investigate it.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All right.
How many do we have open right now of people who have those permits?
I have no idea.
I'm not aware of any right now.
Okay.
How many, have you gotten any this year?
I know Jess has been contacted about people getting them,
Yes.
because there are some businesses who actually follow the processes of the
Right.
city. That's what brought this to light. She wanted me to either say yea or nay. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable doing that, let's talk to council about it first.
Could we also put out it on like the Facebook page too, of just saying that Montrose is not issuing any permits to solicitors or peddlers, so if somebody comes to your door, please contact the city or the Wright County Sheriff's and the non-emergency number.
I can tell you that was City Hall closed for the months that it was, none were issued then, obviously, because they do have to come in, we do make a copy of the driver's license.
Would we be able then to have Jess put something on our Facebook page and we'll share it?
We already planned on doing that.
Okay. All right, if no further discussion, we'll go ahead and Kirby.
Yes.
I will vote yes, and Tom?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
And Wood?
Aye.
Motion passes, 5-0.
One other thing, emergency management, that just kind of came to my mind. Just keep in the back of your minds, once things settle down and stuff, we do have to meet probably in some sort of a workshop setting and have an after-action report to say what went well, what went bad, what can be prepared on better. So I have a big list of notes. It's becoming a book at this point. So I would encourage you to also try to take notes or mental notes or whatever, because it's going to be a process. We want to try and work this so that when the next emergency happens, we're more better prepared. So we've actually done a very good job. City staff has done fantastic. All fire guys have done fantastic. you guys, like, officials have done fantastic, our consultants have done great, so applaud to everybody involved, but there's still room for improvement always, so just keep that in the back of your head.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Park and Rec, and that would be me. So we had our Park and Rec meeting last Thursday. We had some members come from Forest Creek with concerns about getting the playground out there. As we told them in previous emails and the discussion with them at the meeting was Wayne is working with the developer to get the cement and everything out there. They are backlogged just because of COVID and everything going on. So, but we will not let it go. The playground will get out there. It's just getting the time and the place with the developer to move things along. The commission is still working on Park and Trail Plan. The 2020 events really are done, except for we are looking at doing something possibly in October. They still want to try and move ahead. We know that the National Night Out has been pretty much postponed until October, so they are looking at maybe doing some food trucks, that kind of thing. So that discussion will get more in depth next month. We did talk about flag attractions at Betts Park. I went to and got some information on flags that we would put up over at Betts Park. They're 12-foot like flag, sail flags that would represent the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guards, the Marines, the Air Force, and the National Guard.
I don't see the Space Force on here.
What?
I don't see the Space Force on here.
The Space Force? Okay, we'll think about that. We just, I felt that we needed to have something. We have Betts Park and we have nothing there, and that represents that it's Betts Park. So, the commission, like I said, I did get some information back. Most flags would be anywhere right around the $60 mark. That would include the flag and all of the poles and everything to put the flag up. There would be a special flag that would be needed for roughly $127. So I am looking, and the commission made a recommendation to authorize to spend up to $600. So I do need approval from the council to go ahead and do that.
What's the special flag?
We're looking at the U.S. Merchant Marines. So that is especially made. They don't have that in stock, so. But most flags are right around $60, and that one would be a little bit more.
Where are you looking at putting some tax flags?
That would be a discussion as well, and it's not a permanent flag. So it would be up during, like Memorial Day, all the holidays it represents for the service members. So the discussion was like over where the fire truck area is, maybe in that area. There is no plan yet. So we just need approval to, go ahead.
You said on here something about like cement and stuff, so is that, it's like a base underground, or how is it?
It would be cemented in, and then you would put the pole in the flag, but the flags can come out. So that we don't have to worry about vandalism, wear and tear of the weather, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that was gonna be my next question, is how often are you gonna replace them?
Yeah, no, they would only be up, like I said, we would just, when we need to recognize the service members, so. So then I do need a motion then to approve to spend up to $600 for said flags.
I'll make the motion.
No, second.
All right, and Tom?
Aye.
Nicole? Aye. I'll vote aye, and Lloyd?
Aye.
Kirby?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Community garden was the next topic of discussion. We did talk about this last month. The commission, let's see, motion made by Commissioner Henry to recommend City Council have the Public Works maintain any unoccupied plots and have a working hose at a proper length to reach all plots with a place to wind and store the hose when it is not in use. And then Sue seconded that motion, meaning, like right now, the plots that are not in use have been mowed down, but for a while there, they were getting pretty crazy, pretty out of hand. So the commission is asking if we could till up those lots that do not get used so that we could maybe plant pumpkins or whatnot that Pumpkin Days could use for their fundraisers that they have in October for their dance. I don't know if they're going to have one this year, but it's up in the air. Everything's up in the air. Everything's up in the air. So, and right now we only have like one hose. Well, I think there might be two hoses, but one is broken. And the hoses are not long enough to even reach the plots 8, 9, and 10. So more hoses are needed. And then when the hoses do get put away, they're just kind of thrown in the grass, which then in return gets in the way of Public Works mowing. So then we would need something for the residents who have the community gardens to be able to wind the hose on so that we get it out of the way so that Public Works doesn't have to pick it up, move it, and that kind of thing.
It would be a target for theft then if it's sitting there?
What?
The hoses?
The hoses are there all the time.
That's what I mean. I mean, if you put them on something to line them up on, it'll be more visible, right?
I suppose, but I mean, you can see them anyways, just driving by, because they're just a pile, just laying in the grass. But, and then that's the thing, when Public Works goes there, they have to then line everything up to mow. So, just, the commission is thinking, just to make it easier, isn't there like a board that we can nail something on, like you do at your house, you have a little one, the thing that winds it up that you can put out, to make it easier for your boys, your guys. But again, we need more hose there because the hose doesn't reach plot 8, 7.5, 8, 9, and 10. So.
The whole intention out there was to have people, there would be a hose there, they needed it longer to bring them home. Because you get them that long, they get damaged, they get stretched. That's why all the ends leak. People pull on them too hard.
Well, I'm just going to go back to when we originally had the community gardens over in the Northridge development. Part of one of the perks of having this garden and the commission talked about this, was offering it to the citizens, and then for some of them, I know that they don't have being out there and talking to people, they don't have tillers, and we used to till it up.
But it was decided by the council last year not to.
Right. So I'm asking now, because it was brought back, or the commission brought it up to have the Public Works till it up and maintain the ones that are not used so that something can be put into their, like I said, pumpkins, whatever it may be, to donate back to Montrose Days for when they have their Halloween dance.
Who's going to take care of those with the pumpkins?
The pumpkins, Park and Rec Commission, since they recommended it. But we have to have it tilled up. So that would be something. Like I said, the Public Works used to till up the gardens. And it gets pretty bad out there.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
We have a tiller. Can my husband just go up and till it for you?
If you want, that'd be fabulous.
We go to pumpkins across the street too, and they're super low maintenance, and he wants to till them up. And he notice us our streets. We're like,
we do it with the catch.
We'll till for the next 15 years for free. No.
Is your husband here tonight?
No, he just left with the other.
So you're volunteering on his extension?
It's like a voluntold type of thing, right?
He just got a new to us tiller, and no joke, he's been enjoying playing with it. So give us the address, we'll go up and till it. You'll need to do it once, because once you plant the pumpkins, they do the ground cover.
Right.
So yeah,
yes.
I'm not volunteering to take care of your pumpkin patch, but if you wanted to till it, he would be fine tilling it.
It's too late to do it this year.
Right. So our community garden is over by our regional park, which is over Aspen.
Yeah.
So that's where we.
Well, do you want to just till it up right now, just to get rid of the kind of the gross weeds looking right thing?
If you want to till it up to get ahead of the game, is that okay, Wayne?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
he can transport it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mowed them off, so they look like lawn now.
What?
Because nobody's used them.
Yeah. So
Well, we'll talk after after, I'll email you, and then when he wants, he'll go up and do it. It's not-
Okay. Thank you.
He enjoys doing it. So.
All right, well, thank you. So, that's all we have then. That's it. Planning and zoning.
Okay, at the June 10th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, I had asked the city planner to prepare information on mobile food units because we've had a couple show up in town. They have paid the administrative fee of $50, but we got some complaints because of where they were set up in proximity to
Other businesses.
brick and mortar restaurants. And unfortunately, there was absolutely nothing I could do because we had nothing in our ordinance about mobile food units, so I could not regulate them at all. So immediately I had Ryan Gritman prepare something. He did it within a week, and I brought it to planning and zoning, and we did come up with a draft ordinance. Some of the things that the Planning and Zoning Commission asked to have is that there is going to be an annual fee. Now, they did decide at their meeting last week in July that that's going to be $200, just an annual fee of $200. We're not going to go by days. We're not going to go have them check in with me when they're going to be in town. They're going to pay the annual fee, and then they'll be given the ordinance where they can locate. They do have to get permission from a business to operate or have their park in their parking lot, and they do have to get the permission from the city if they want to park on any of our public land. They also are going to be responsible for filling out the administrative permit and giving us a copy of their Department of Health license and also a certificate of insurance. We are not going to charge food trucks or vendors that are part of a community event or fundraiser. Food trucks will be required to get permission to operate on private property. I already told you that one. They will not be allowed, they spent a lot of time discussing this, but they came up with, they cannot be within 500 feet from the property line of a brick and mortar restaurant. And there was a restriction in there that they couldn't operate for more than 21 days. They removed that. And they also removed the restriction of only allowing 4 food trucks annually. That would have been very restrictive because I know the bank has contacted me and they are wanting to have food trucks. They're looking at having food trucks every Friday afternoon for a few months. So, and they decided that they're not going to do criminal background checks on them because they have to do that when they obtain a Department of Health certificate. So if we get a copy of that, we know the background check was done. And then they had Ryan put more specific in the language in the ordinance that requires them to remove their garbage off-site, not dispose of it in any of our public garbage cans. So then there was a public hearing. That was it that was talked about at that June 10th meeting. Then at July 8th meeting, we had 2 public hearings. The first one was for a PUD amendment brought forth by Otter Homes for some homes that they want to build in Forest Creek. In 2004, they got the original PD, and then in 2016, they asked for an amendment at that time. And when they asked for the amendment at that time, what they wanted to do was go from building 5 twin homes to 10 single-family homes. And he said they have a better market for that now. Well, now what they wanted to do when their amendment was they wanted to change it. They still wanted to do single homes, but they wanted to change the layout from a multi-level home to a rambler. And so in order to do that, they had to change the setbacks. So the only thing that they were not in compliance with their ordinance was the setbacks that they wanted to change. They wanted to go from side yard setbacks of 13 feet, 7.5 feet, and the setbacks would be 7.5 feet and 5 feet. The Planning and Zoning Commission did not go for it. They tabled it. They wanted some more research on it because they were concerned about setting a precedence by letting them change those setbacks. And if other people would come in wanting to change the setbacks, they were concerned about that. So that did get tabled. Then we had the public hearing on the food trucks, and that went smoothly. Their ordinance is ready to go. He's going to be bringing it to you at your April regular city council meeting.
August?
What did I say? April?
Yeah.
August. I don't know, I said April.
COVID brand.
Any questions on any of those meetings?
Okay. All right, EDA.
We had a meeting on June 16th. superintendents. Old business, we talked about, this COVID thing has really kind of delayed. We wanted to develop a brochure in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce that basically talks about properties available in the city of Montrose and why people would want to locate a business here. We're still trying to find somebody who will do the internship to work on the city website in conjunction with this brochure. So if that doesn't happen, then I think I'm just probably going to put something together myself as far as the brochure goes. We had Shannon Sweeney from David Drown Associates here. He gave us a nice presentation on tax increment financing and tax abatement financing. And that was about it at this meeting.
Deb, did we reach out to anybody at the school or the principals or anything to see if there was some way of getting the information out for an internship? Wasn't that a discussion before?
Yeah.
Did we reach out?
Yeah, you did.
No, we still have to prepare the job description. It got put on hold because.
Oh, I thought that went to Wright Tech.
No, we have to still prepare the job description.
Oh.
It's going to go to, we'll do it to Wright Tech, we're going to send it to Hamlin University, we're going to send it to St. Cloud State University, and we're going to send it to Mankato State. And also, before I send anything out, I want to check into, Shannon told us that there's grant available through the Minnesota Economic Development Authority. So I want to try to obtain grant funding to pay for the internship.
Yeah, and one other thing is that we don't seem to have a record of properties, descriptions, prices, availability, logistics, for sale in the area either. So that's going to be take a picture for sale signs and call different realtors and find out what the story is. So.
And we still have nothing on the Casey's building, correct?
No, they asked Ryan that at the planning and zoning meeting, and he has repeatedly tried to contact that gentleman. Miles did too, and he doesn't get back to us.
Okay. Thank you. Wayne?
Yeah, Council, I got a few updates for you. Kind of wondering on utility late fees. We're going to let them go yet?
You've done them for March, April, May, and June.
So we're back to normal now, pretty much?
That's, you have to talk about that and then make a motion to say what you want to do.
Is there any large outstanding ones that could possibly be an issue in the future?
I'm going to talk about that in the next agenda item. So you might want to wait to make a motion until I talk about what I'm going to talk about next.
Okay.
Do you want me to do that? Okay, so city staff asked me to talk to you about, they have not been doing shut-off notices. And they would like to start implementing that process again in August of this year. Currently, of the 1,208 households that we bill, we have 15 that are delinquent, 3 months delinquent. Some of them are large, but some of them had water leaks and they are making payments, but then there are some people that are repeat offenders that just are not paying. And the reason why we want to continue with the shut-off process is because these bills just keep getting higher and higher. These people just getting more and more behind. Just so you know, letters are sent to these people each month, and the letters ask them to contact staff to make a payment or to make a payment arrangement, and she also includes in there the telephone number, the information to contact Wright County Human Services if they need help with their utility bill. So she does her due diligence in trying to get people to pay the bills. So she's asked to continue. What that means is that people will get this letter, then if they don't pay, then they get a notice put on their door. This Public Works Department says post a notice on their door saying you have to pay by a certain amount of time or we're going to shut the water off. And, pardon? You cannot see this. Okay.
Sometimes that forces people to kind of go, oh, maybe I should go to City Hall and make payment arrangements. And until we do that, they just keep blowing it off.
And then we did talk about this afternoon what we would do, and we would advertise on social media. If you approve this tonight, we would start tomorrow advertising on social media and on the website that we're gonna start doing this again, that we're gonna start posting. So what I'm saying to you is that if you're going to do this, then I would not continue with the waiving of the late fees. Kirby, you can ask me if you want to.
Well, I just want to know if there's any, like, large issues that, you know, I get that it's tough right now, but if there's any really large ones that are going to be a problem when we start doing it again.
She has not heard from anybody that's had a hardship because of the COVID-19 thing, and the really large ones that we have on here are repeat offenders that just seem to ignore everything we tell them.
Until we actually hang the shut off.
Yeah. So I guess you could make one motion and you could say to resume late fee fees and to resume the practice of closing shut off notices.
In August?
In August.
So there wouldn't be one for July, right? They wouldn't have the late fees for July, it would just be.
The August bill would be.
Go in July.
No,
August.
the late notices are running like July 23rd, so the late fees would go on that one if you approve it in July. And the shut off would be like August
10th. She said August 10th.
So moving forward, if we make this motion, late fees are in effect as of tonight?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to reinstate late fees and also provide people with warnings about shut-offs on past due bills.
Is there any more discussion, Kirby?
No, I don't know, it's a tough spot because there are some people that probably are struggling, and this might be the one month that they're like, okay, now I need help and I can't pay it because of, I haven't got my job back and my extra $600 from the government's not coming anymore because it's supposed to end this month. That's just what
But they could come to the city hall and.
They can always reach out and make payments.
Well, and just to clarify for you, the late fee payment is only $5.
5%.
Oh, 5%, I'm sorry, 5%.
And as you stated, there's multiples on there that are just repeat offenders.
They're just repeat offenders. Yes.
So, and then the other ones are making payments with you?
Yes.
And she has been sending, like Deb said, she's been sending the letters out every month on the 23rd, which just saying that this much of your bill is late, we just haven't been putting a late charge on it. The same letter's been going out, telling them to contact us if they need to set up a payment arrangement.
And to repeat offenders, that same letter's been going out. They simply have to come in and just make a payment arrangement, but they don't even do that.
So we have a first and a second. Any other discussion? All right, Lloyd?
All right.
I will vote aye. Kirby?
Yes.
Tom?
Aye.
Nicole? Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Right next to the compost site, we had that cleaned up. It ended up being 1,220 yards. And the bill ended up at $7,259. A little more than what we expected, but we got rid of more than what we were going to at first.
Did they at some point in time let you know there was going to be twice?
No,
It was going to be.
and I kept asking, and he said, well, we'll get the bill out to you.
Yeah, nice.
Because we approved $3,000, correct?
Yeah, and then we added the rocks and the logs and get rid of all that.
The rocks and the logs from, where did it come from, do we know?
No, it was in the burn pile.
Did that person ever come back and
Yes.
correct that stuff then?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yes, they even reached out to me.
Well, they even talked to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you seem like a pretty straight work guy.
So The over budget, where's that coming from then?
What was the quote based on, how many yards?
Recycle and reuse.
How many yards?
Yeah, how many yards was the quote based?
Just on the compost, he said it was like 200-300 on the compost, but then we got rid of the burn pile and the rock pile. We're gonna start from scratch with nothing.
This compost site has been out there for 10 years and it's never been,
It's been there longer than that, since I've been here 14, it's been there.
it's been there that since
Yep.
then. I think it went in right after we built the plant, pretty much, so I guess it was like 2003. And it's never been all the way.
Completely cleaned out.
And it was starting to become a little bit of a fire issue as well. We were starting to have some flare-ups in the burn pile and stuff from the fact that it was ignited 2-3 years prior sometimes. So it was a necessity to get it done, in my opinion.
And so now you're going to help take care of what's
We're
going
gonna
on?
start from scratch.
All right,
Right.
okay. All right, anything else on that topic? Go ahead.
No, I'm done with that one, as long as you're okay with it.
Did we need to make a motion to?
It's already done. It went over. It's- We're not gonna let it happen again.
The next item I have is water meters. We went to order water meters, and they changed on us. They don't make the ones we used to have. And now they come up with some new software, which is gonna cost us, no matter which way we go, it's gonna cost us $4,000 up front. So we're gonna do that, it's gonna be the latest and greatest updated software. So the meters will cost us, if we go the route I wanna go, meters will cost us $30 more than what we were paying, but they're cellular. The reading will go right from the meter to the office, no middleman. We need a reading out that house, we just punch it up and grab the reading.
So are you saying we have to put all new meters on these?
No, our original ones we can still read, just going forward.
All new houses.
All new houses,
Okay.
anyone that breaks down has to have a new one. So the cost isn't gonna, it's gonna be the $4,000 for the software. Meter wise, we collect for the meters, so we're gonna be up much more money. There might be a few gadgets we need in between, for a couple other $100, but other than that, to keep the system going, we have to do it.
What's the cost of a water meter now?
$280 for the new ones.
For that new one with the additional $30?
Yeah, no, that's already on there.
Okay, that's for the.
That's on there. And they're cellular runs, so. And each one of those meters would have an 89-cent meter charge per month for the cellular.
So just the new ones? Or is it maybe-
Just the new ones. The old ones, we still have to drive around and read. New ones will go to City Hall.
So who's gonna pay that 89 cents?
We're gonna have to build that in somewhere.
The new homes. Would it be?
No, so we're gonna, all the new residents that move in are gonna pay 89 cents extra on their bill.
That's a fun billing
But
situation.
their reasoning for that was we're paying a maintenance fee on our other ones, the other software and stuff we had, that'll no longer be there. And they're just hitting us with 89 cents a meter. Otherwise, they're charging us an annual fee.
So they won't charge us an annual fee anymore, will they still maintain the other equipment?
Yep,
So that is the 89 cents per all our meters then, or just?
no, just the cellular ones. Because our other stuff is outdated according to the guy.
How many new meters do you think we're looking at right now?
Right now, we need some right now. We usually get, what does she usually get, 20, 30 of them at a time? And we do that all the time. And most of these are going in new houses. All the other ones have been changed.
The meter cost isn't gonna really matter because we charge for meters.
Right.
So we get reimbursed for the meter, like get a building permit, they pay for the meter. So the meter cost itself is not really an issue because we get reimbursed for that. It's just, I guess, the 4,000 up front and the 89 cents a month.
So then when we put in a new meter then, say, you know, in the Forest Creek development that
Yep.
they're talking about, Jess will get that number and then she'll have to go back and go, you know, 205, whatever,
Yep.
and charge them 89 cents additional a month.
Well, the software does that automatically. She doesn't have to physically do it.
Oh, okay.
So were we paying maintenance fees on the other meters?
Yes.
Was that on the water bill? I never noticed that.
It had to come from somewhere, I mean,
It just came out of the water fund.
Yeah.
We didn't bill customers for it.
Okay.
and the new meters are the new style, they have no moving parts, nothing to break down, nothing to speed up or slow down. Like
What was
it's-
the maintenance fee on the old years? Was it like monthly thing too? The maintenance fee for the old
Now it's
years?
an annual fee.
It was an annual fee that had.
Do you know what the annual is for the 1 meter?
No, it was just an annual fee. It actually wasn't on the meters themselves. only
For the
it was
system
an annual fee
itself.
On the system, our laptop and the handheld that they read with. That was what it was for. It wasn't for the meters themselves.
What, do you know offhand what the animal, probably not?
I don't.
It's probably just a bulk number too, isn't
Well,
it?
it's like
Yeah.
a couple of thousand, maybe between 1,000 and 2,000 maybe a month, a year. I don't remember.
We can't get the old ones anymore? Is that?
That's the deal, we can't get them. We need some right now, we can't get any. They were gonna find us 5, but they didn't come up with them yet.
This is about the 4th time that meters have changed since we went through.
Well, and this is the latest and greatest for the next 6 months,
And it'll change
so.
in another couple of years, so there's nothing we can do about it. It just.
Yeah, but once we're cellular, I mean, not much of that's ever gonna change, it's automatic.
And we just recently got all of the meters changed too, didn't we?
Yeah.
Within the last year probably?
Well, yeah, upgraded them to the latest.
Not
and
even
greatest.
There's 3 houses on Buffalo Avenue.
I guess if we,
No, we just.
I guess if we have to, but then we could, can we look at to see what the, that possibly not charging 89 cents? I mean.
We just, right now, like that maintenance fee is pretty much built into your rates, put it that way. So, we just wouldn't charge it.
That would be a billing nightmare to have to do that.
That's
So,
so weird.
yeah. Okay,
So we need to know, I mean, do you wanna do this, because we need to get meters?
well, yeah,
Well, if we
I
have
don't think we
to,
have a choice.
Yeah.
But I think what it's gonna be is, like she said, it will come out, you know, out of the
Just waive the
whole fund
89
straight
cent
up,
fee.
not each individual, yeah.
So you'll need to make a motion to purchase the $4,000 software.
Make a motion to approve the $4,000 Beacon software.
I'll second.
All right, I will vote aye, and Kirby?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Lloyd? Nicole? Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
The next item I have is the maintenance on the rubber roofs in town. You all should have parts of it in your packet. And it's got each roof labeled, and the years it's, the life that's left on it, like 4 to 6 years. And they've got 3 priorities, priority A, B, and C. If we do priority A for each building, that 4 to 6 years will go up next year. If we did all the roofs in town, it would cost the city $14,894. And the bulk of it is the fire hall at $10,206.
We haven't done anything to our roof, and if you recall back a few months, you had authorized $50,000 to be put towards station maintenance and kind of things like that. This would be included with that, I think, I'm pretty sure it'll be covered, so.
And then next year they'll come back and assess them and give us a whole new, that 4 to 6 years could be 6 to 8 years. Every year they're gonna improve.
So you need a motion?
Yep.
So the grand total is the 14,894.
Yep.
With 10,000 of that with, okay.
That was your motion?
Yeah, make a motion to approve the spending of $14,894 for roof repairs on city buildings.
I'll second. Any discussion?
How many, city buildings have we got in reparations?
We got 3 at the wastewater plant, 1 at the new water tower, and the fire hall. And then that new water plant will go on next year.
Any other discussion? All right, I will vote aye. Nicole, aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kirby?
Yes.
And Lloyd? Motion passes 5-0.
My next item is, a resident sent me an email about a 4-way stop at Breckenridge in Wide Circle. They want a 4-way stop there and children and play signs.
That's your street, right, Tom?
Yes, it is. There's not a four-way stop there?
No, there's one on Cole just to block down.
Yep.
And there are children and play signs down towards Alexander. Burton Circle and Alexander, there's children and play signs.
There's not any at the beginning of the development, are there? No, I can't say that I've ever seen.
Children and play there are.
Like the beginning of the development there when you drive in? So they just want additional signs and then a four-way stop?
Yep.
There's so many kids on that intersection, I stopped there anyway.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably pretty busy.
I
There's,
drive through there, I always stop there.
Yeah.
Somebody's always walking around that area.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for the safety of all those kids there.
I would, so from an emergency management point and also sheriff's office point, I would caution putting stop signs so close together. You're almost promoting people to run through them. Yes, it does slow people down, but
We could throw out some more children at play signs, you know, before it and after it, you know, going towards it. See if that'll help.
Do we need to have a four-way stop there, or can we just have like the two,
Well,
And have
majority
both.
of stop sign at Wyatt.
yeah, they're wide stops, but, yeah, not across.
Yeah, when it's not stolen.
How did the children and play signs help with the issue down on Crystal Lane? Because I know that they asked about a stop sign down there to help that three-way area. How did those children and play signs help over there?
Once we put them up, I haven't heard anything about them.
and a lot of it goes to, if you authorize this stop sign, you're gonna, next time you're gonna get 10 more of them for every intersection. And a lot of it goes back to, kids shouldn't be playing in the streets, plain and simple. Yeah, balls run out, I get that, you know, sometimes kids don't listen to things, but if we start putting four-way stops in every intersection in the city, it's gonna be a nightmare.
Where is the stop sign now on Breckenridge? Is that
Cole is a four-way.
Yeah, so I was thinking there was one, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I thought that was the one, but that's the last road before, you go down around the corner.
And Wyatt is a cul-de-sac, and then the other side of Wyatt is a dead end.
Yep.
So it impacts maybe 15 houses along there.
Plus all the ones back behind. I don't know, can we try the children and play signs first on both sides of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, based on Kevin's input, I guess that's probably what we need to look at.
Yeah, I didn't think about the emergency side of it.
All right, my next item is, had a resident would like to have us repair some sidewalk on Buffalo Avenue. And if you read the city policy, it says it's the duty of the homeowner to repair the sidewalk and take care of the alley if there's an alley.
Where at on Buffalo Avenue?
Down towards the Villager Apartments. There's a heave-in sidewalk. But if you look at the sidewalks, there's a lot of spots that can be repaired.
How bad is it?
It's just heaped up, it'd be like 3 chunks. But there's other parts that would use 1 or 2 chunks, you know, where you're gonna stop.
So if we don't repair it, what's the liability?
That I don't know.
Any idea what caused it, do you know? Is it just wear and tear, or bad drainage? or-
Well, it heaved up, I don't know, and that was all put in with County Road 12. And the person that approached me said that they were told they never have to ever repair it because they already, were they assessed for those? I suppose they were. We were talking about assessments on County Road 12.
Who originally paid for that project? Was it the county or the city?
I wasn't here at the time.
All the above,
I was done right before I started.
but they were assessed.
What do other cities do about the sidewalks? Do they take care of them, or is the residents?
It's either or, it's usually the homeowner. City I'm from, I have to take care of my own.
And then, so they were just replaced, what, a couple of years ago?
2003. It's almost 20 years. within it.
Some cities go in and replace them and then throw it on your taxes.
I can tell you that since I've been here, I did send a letter, to one resident, that they had to repair the sidewalk, and they
I
did.
remember that now.
Because
That's-
it does say in our ordinance that the homeowner is responsible for it.
That should provide some.
Yeah, I guess that's what the ordinance
There's
says.
the discussion.
I mean, I don't have a sidewalk, so, I mean, I don't.
I do. Sidewalk. I do.
And he's got a bike path, so.
There you go. And there's nothing wrong with it. So I haven't had to fix it yet.
I always thought the
It's-
cities repair the sidewalks because it's on city property.
No, but it's kind of like maintenance of them too, snow plowing, all that kind of stuff. It's up to the homeowner to take care of everything.
I think if you decide that the city's gonna replace this, you're gonna set a precedence, because
We're replacing the whole town then.
Right, that's
then you
what,
might as well change your ordinance, because you're not following your ordinance.
Right.
right, next they got the Highway 25 trail, Lloyd.
Lloyd,
What?
it's up to you.
Oh.
Highway 25.
Okay, I thought we were still talking about the other stuff. There's a couple residents there that, you know, when they replanted it, they just put that mesh over weeds and everything. And some places they didn't even plant anything and the quackgrass is growing there. Well, that quackgrass is hard to kill in a lawn. And, you know, like one person had all sodded lawn, they had a really nice lawn. Now he's got a strip of quackgrass in there because they didn't work it up. They just threw that on top over the weeds and everything. And the weeds even lifted the netting up in some places. And then like Mrs. Palmer's place there, it's really bad there. And, so they just would like to have that fixed. And of course I got that problem with the gravel yet too.
But isn't that MinDOT? Is that MinDOT that fixes that? Or is that-
No, before we paid the bill with the guys that did it.
Would have to come back.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, you said that they were gonna have a, kind of a checkout list.
As far as I know, we should go and do a,
Have they,
I haven't heard
you able to see that?
I haven't heard from anybody, but I'll give them a call in the morning.
Yeah, Yeah, because you should be involved in that, because they'll go through a checklist and
Right, I had a resident talk to me tonight about it, so.
the city, you know, if they get away with doing something, that's what they'll do. They don't have.
Is it,
No place.
or is it still, can you still see all the weeds and stuff there?
What?
Can you still see all the weeds and, I mean, is that mesh still there? You can see?
Oh, yeah, the meshes.
So if we should just get a hold of Wayne, make sure they come out here right away and look at it, so that they don't,
Yeah, they
because
just.
it'll be up to them to approve everything.
Quackgrass is the only thing that proved it.
So, get a hold of Sean.
Yeah, I'll try to
They roll out on top when they're done with the project, they just roll it out, it basically looks like straw. And that's what, yeah.
It's a net.
Yeah, and then they're supposed to go through and they're supposed to punch it down and everything, and it's just, it's a pain.
Yeah, I should take care of the weeds.
Yeah, you're supposed to
Yeah,
get rid of them
clean it
first.
up, right. So you'll reach out to them, Wayne?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you.
Does anybody else have anything for me?
There's nothing under old business, new business, discussion of COVID-19 pandemic business relief proposal, that was by me. I brought up a couple things a while back to discuss. One of them, we're just gonna let it go, that was water bills. But the other one, we have, as you all know, we're in the COVID crisis here, and a couple of our businesses were affected due to that and had to close down, and we charged them liquor licenses. So for the first 5-6 months of the, well, we're in the 6th month now, but they weren't even able to sell the liquor. So I had asked, and I don't have that here in front of me, I'm sure it's somewhere, what the cost was. Oh, here it is. The Ugly Bar, let's see.
They both the same.
Yeah, $9.75 would
For the year?
potentially be no refund from March 1st to June 8th, because it's what, 1950? What was the 4,200 or something like that?
Their on-sale liquor license is $3,900 a year. So what that did was you just prorated it from the 1st of March till June. And that would be $9.75 that we could give back to each one of the businesses because they weren't able to use their liquor license.
Right.
The off-sale, you would do that because they could still sell.
The off-sale, they could still do it, that's why.
Off-sale,
Yes.
So you don't worry about off-sale.
Right.
That's a different
That's totally
license.
separate, yeah. So, then what we could potentially be looking at is the Ugly Bar would be getting a refund of $9.75, the same as Jackie B's, for a total of $19.50. So I'm asking the council to take that into consideration, to give them back, you know, just to help them out a little bit, and show them, you know, that, hey, we know it kind of sucks that everything that you're going through, and we're here to help you as much as we can, so.
Was that on that list of stuff that you can apply for through the state? I know I looked it over, but some of that stuff was just kind of weird on there.
I did a webinar on the CARES Act funding, and after the webinar, I asked the League of Minnesota Cities Research Department, one of their attorneys actually just got back to me today, and this is what he said, you can't give aid to businesses or individuals because cities can only spend money for public purpose. There's a statute that says that. And so this would be a public purpose, refunding that.
Okay.
But he said it's unclear whether the CARES Act is going to bypass that requirement. They don't know. When I did that webinar, it was a good webinar, but they don't know
They don't know
what's
a lot
going
of
to
stuff.
happen.
I know that's what Joe had said too when I had talked to the state rep McDonald, when I'd asked him, he said, we just don't know what the final result of all this stuff is gonna be, because they haven't decided it.
So this isn't considered public purpose, or this is?
He's saying that this would be considered public purpose. And then they have three indicators that you have to do to qualify. There's 3 qualifying costs, and one of them is that if you can maintain that expense in your budget, you can't use the CARES Act funding, which we can because it was money we took in from them, and we're just going to give it back to them. But I'm still applying for the CARES Act funding. I'm still going to fill out the application. I know that your second one, I know, Mayor Otto, you said you're just going to forget it, but you can't cover utility bills. The only thing the CARES Act funding is for is electricity. They don't mention water and sewer bills, they don't mention gas utilities, they only talk about electricity.
What about loss of revenue like on this building?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I will make a motion to refund the Ugly Bar and Jackie B's for March through June 8th, total of $975 each due to COVID-19.
Second.
Any other discussion? All right, Nicole. All right. I'll vote aye. Lloyd.
Aye.
Kirby.
Yes.
Tom.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have upcoming meetings and city council workshop. Do you have something on there?
Just so you know, I don't have anything right now.
Can we cancel it?
Sure.
Y'all okay with that?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Next Park and Rec is August 6th. Regular city council meeting is August 10th. The primary elections, make sure we pay attention to that, is Tuesday, August 11th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Montrose Community Center. Planning and zoning Wednesday, August 12th. EDA Tuesday, August 18th, and city council workshop is August 24th.
Didn't we decide to cancel the August 12th? Yeah,
No,
Planning and zoning?
we can't.
I thought we did.
No, because you tabled the public hearing, so you have to continue the public hearing for the PUD.
And at that time, you guys will have more information, right?
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any acknowledgements? I just want to acknowledge again, city staff and everybody who's still, Kevin's gone. Oh, no, there he is. Emergency management, you know, going through all this COVID stuff. It's a crazy situation that we're all in, and he's really done a phenomenal job keeping us all informed and doing everything he needs to do for us. So thank you, Kevin.
I'd just like to acknowledge everybody who came tonight to give their opinion to us.
Yep.
So
It was good to see you.
it's appreciated to get opinions from people.
I'd like to acknowledge law enforcement. I don't know who in the world in their right mind would want to be a police officer these days.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second by Nicole. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're closed at 9:45. I'm gonna go home and make some food back in. Yeah, but you probably start on afternoon. I know, I did like 3 pages. I saw
Park the trailer in front of my mailbox, park their beach truck and trailer in front of Mark's mailbox. I went out there before 3 o'clock. Next meeting, the trailer. It'll be the first Tuesday of August, the next meeting. We have training every week on. Training and trailer for sale. And kind of looked at me like, you're speaking another language here, dude. What are you talking about?
They'll send me a thing when you're done. Yeah, but I just wanted to let you know. No. It's council chairman. So, I can't, I don't think we're never. I'm gonna send a letter out.
Good old days.
I think because always to the left. Franklin Township, they have and here's the application for Jasper Valley. So I'm gonna do that for the water and see if I can throw a lot of stuff that way for general. I know it is. I always just go to courthouse because I we want to. Yeah, but I'm going, and I'm gonna put all that in. I know Justin's already given us newsletter.
One of them has drivers, the other takes like 2 days. Get out and get one spot.
I do. Then you got your absentee ballot, the registration ballot, your registration. So I'm gonna do that. Well, I'm really encouraging the general. Sweetheart social distancing in here for general, we get 1,500 people. You know, for all day, so it's gonna be tough, so we're gonna have to. See if I can make it first slide. So every year, like, standards right here. Boy, we have to be cold outside, but I'm really outside.
I'll still say I just make one to go. And maybe look for yeah, we'll do tomorrow. See if it's any better. Doesn't pay us no way.
Did we turn off the camera? Did we?
No. So here I am, looking at they were there.
Did we? Come on.